Released on December 21st, 2011, director David Fincher reunited most of his accomplished crew from his previous film, The Social Network, to work on this English-language thriller adaptation of Stieg Larsson's Swedish novel of the same name, which went on to gross over a $140 million profit. Daniel Craig stars as an outcast journalist who was called to a remote island in northern Sweden by wealthy magnate Christopher Plummer to investigate a 40-year-old murder case that is, not surprisingly, not as simple as it seems. In a deserved Oscar-nominated performance, 26-year-old Rooney Mara stars as the title character, a complicated and angry woman who is constantly abused and forgotten by society. After a slow start, Craig and Mara's plot threads converge for a drawn-out but exciting final act that very carefully wraps up the entire 158-minute mystery thriller.
Who is it?
It's Mikael Blomqvist.
Actually, I'm not really up yet.
May I come in, please? Hi. You and I need to talk. I've got us some breakfast. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had some company.
Hey! Who do you think you are?
I'm the guy you know better than my closest friends do. Why don't you put some clothes on? Get rid of your girlfriend. We need to talk.
Keeping himself busy before next year's 23rd James Bond picture, Craig turns in a convincing and driven performance, even if he's rarely challenged by the movie's script. Mara, on the other hand, is given plenty to chew on, as the titular character is certainly one of the more interesting creatures in recent cinema memory. By way of long, wide, and delicately framed shots, the action and beauty of Sweden unfolds slowly but with intensity, through some brilliant and clever editing that netted this movie its lone Academy Award. While Craig is busy freezing on the snow-covered island interviewing people at old folks' home, Mara's story takes on a life of its own, as we're witness to a particularly violent and graphic rape scene between her and her foster home sponsor. Her vicious and premeditated revenge surprise a few scenes later is as gratifying to watch as it is disturbing. But coupled with Trent Reznor's beautifully somber and intense score, it is easily the highlight of the movie. Besides some gruesomely entertaining scenes like this though, the film is vastly overblown and entirely smug in its delivery. What was initially advertised as a furious action thriller instead amounts to nothing more than a low-key investigative procedural. Craig searches for clues to a decades-old murder that the audience has given little reason to actually invest in. The mystery and surprise factor stems not from great writing or carefully delivered exposition, but rather by keeping the viewer in the dark from what is actually being uncovered during this investigation. When our heroes finally resolve this case in an exciting climactic sequence, the movie sticks around for another 20 minutes, devoting the remaining runtime to wrapping up a minor plot point from the opening act. This segment isn't inherently pointless or boring, but it's poorly paced and awkwardly assigned to an epilogue-like role, taking much of the film's steam and strength along with it. Besides some pulse-pounding scenes of tension between Craig and the bad guy late in the movie, the real draw here is definitely Mara, whose talent and presence oozes off the screen, executing every piece of dialogue with a furious determination that is impossible to look away from. Her tour-de-force performance notwithstanding, this motion picture is rarely thrilling, instead seeming more like Law & Order's Swedish division, curiously filled with all the characters speaking in perfect English. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Slow, brooding procedural, fantastic performances. That's what I thought about the film. Now let's see what you had to say about it in the YouTube comments. Here's a Ratomatic with our scores for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. A 7 and a 9. Interestingly, your reviews were remarkably consistent. Everyone really enjoyed this film, for Mara's great acting and its intense atmosphere. But very few dished out the top score of a 10. You thought it was an awesome movie. Boiling down to nothing more than a 2.5-hour crime procedural, the only thing that really impressed me here were the performances and the great editing and music. I thought it was cool.